All right, guys, welcome to the One Life Podcast. We're here with Byron Ross.
Yes.
He is a IFFB pro.
Yes.
He's got a degree in kinesiology.
And a minor in nutrition.
And he's a personal trainer with his own gym. And
Yes.
he looks amazing and he's mid-40s.
45.
45. So welcome. Thank you for being on here.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I've got a lot of questions for you. I want to start, because you're very passionate about fitness, you're very passionate about health. I want to start on that opposed to the other way around.
Okay.
So, majority of people are overweight, majority of people are unhealthy. Why is that?
Just lack of activity, lack of knowledge, lifestyle. I think that most people don't realize that most Americans don't come from much. And so these habits of being healthy really aren't taught to us. And so then as life goes on, you get out of high school, you get to college, then life happens.
And it's not just, you don't just have youth on your side anymore.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So then, you get to work, then you start having kids, and then you're trying to progress in life, and then stress, and tons of factors play into that. So socioeconomic status. So we think it's super simple, but you only know what you know. And
your parents only teach you what they know too, right?
And so I'll have people go, clients like, how do they know that chips aren't good for you? It's like, well, if that's what you were raised with, and that's what everyone is eating around you, and that's what you can afford, then how do you know any different?
Yeah, it's just going to follow, generation.
Follow.
Were you born with good upbringing? Were you taught this stuff?
No, actually, my mother and father were both from the South, and we didn't have much, so I ate what was put on the table. But I've always been active, played sports since I was like 6, played college football, ran track, wrestle. You name it, I was super active, always outside.
So you're kind of outworking it. Were you eating well when you were a teenager?
No.
Or were you just kind of outworking a bad diet?
Just outworking it.
Because you had youth on your side.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So just eating whatever or what was provided. I had no idea about nutrition. So I kind of just ate whatever was available. Even though I did eat meals, my parents provided food, but it wasn't the healthiest stuff. We're talking pork chops, tons of potatoes, fried pork chops.
The South food.
Chicken, so everything's fried.
That sounds good though.
Yeah, and really didn't eat fast food a lot until I got to high school, had my own money at lunch and stuff like that. So then I just went to college, got my degree, and then I realized I can change all that. The underlying health factors that plagued my family through diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, I've lost so many people in my family.
Have you really?
Yeah, from these metabolic issues, and then it's been a game changer.
Okay. And I want to touch on that. All those are diet related, right?
Yes.
Your heart disease, your diabetes, majority of cancers.
Yes.
All diet related.
Definitely.
And most people just they accept it. They just think, oh, it's in my family. Do you know that 80% of stuff that's passed on through your family will not? There's 80% of genetic diseases aren't actually passed on from generation to generation.
Yeah.
There's only 20% chance that if my dad's got heart disease, there's only 20%, less than 20% chance that I'm going to actually have heart disease. But people just think, oh, he had so-and-so, therefore I'm going to get it.
Exactly.
But they never work on, even with COVID, nobody's like, maybe I should work on my health opposed to
gets put on the back burner.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, Brennan, is, it takes work. And a lot of people aren't willing to work for things. And especially in today's society, we want everything easy.
Yeah.
If it takes a little bit of effort or getting out of your comfort zone, then it's like, ugh.
And we want it overnight too, right?
Am I going to, you'll talk to people and, I gained, on average, they say people gain around, the average American, 41 pounds during COVID. Bro,
Oh, really? No way.
41 pounds.
Seriously?
Is a shitload of weight.
That's a ton of weight.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
That's not a mistake either.
Oh my God.
I don't want to sound like a jerk. Obviously, this was stuff that we never could have expected. Depression, people being at home. But 41 pounds on average. So that means there's people that gain more than that. And there's people like myself who didn't gain. But that's a lot of weight.
That's a lot of weight. That's crazy. I haven't heard that.
Oh, yeah, bro. I had clients that came to me afterwards. They just sat at home and had food delivered to their house.
And food's a boredom thing. Food's a comfort thing. And that's the thing, especially in America. I know in Australia too. It's everything's based around food.
Yes.
Yeah. And Southern thing, it's based around food even more.
Mm-hmm. In American culture, it's you have a get together, there has to be food.
It's based around food.
Yeah.
And it's never based around healthy food.
No.
And different families, I know Italian families come from Australia. It's very food based. I think Mexican families are the same, very food based.
Most cultures.
Southern.
It's almost disrespectful if you don't eat.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. If you I do a lot of fasting. If I don't eat, people think it's crazy.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
You're
You yeah.
And whereas I take the different approach. Well, you're being rude to me because you're imposing something on me that I don't want to do.
Yeah, you're nearly guilted into it, right?
Yeah. But, you know, from doing this for so long and most of my family is so supportive, family and friends, and, you know, we spoke about this a little bit before we got on. Like, I beat to my own drum. So if it makes you uncomfortable that I don't want to eat, that's a you problem.
That is a you problem, right?
I'm not expecting you to eat and live how I live my lifestyle either.
And you're not preaching it on anyone either, are you? No. Just like religion. If you're religious, whatever religion, do it for you.
Yes.
But you don't have to preach on someone else.
It's not until you ask me questions like, why do you eat that way? Or why do you do what you do? Then, but otherwise, I don't walk around like everyone should be in shape. Everyone should work out. I don't give two wooden nickels if you move. It doesn't affect me one way or the other.
100%. I did personal training for 8 to 10 years, and I'm 100% the same. You ask a question, you genuinely want an answer, I'll give you 110%. And it seems like you're the same.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to preach something on somebody. I'm not going to tell you not to smoke. You're smart enough. You're an adult. You know what's good for you. You know what's bad for you. You don't need me to twist your arm.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to preach that on someone. But if they ask, I'll give 110%. And then as soon as you waste my time, that's that. You kind of blew your chance.
Well, I do my best to be as open-minded as possible and realize that sometimes people don't know. I only know what I know. But at the same time, why am I judging them? I don't want to be judged. Like, you like going to... Like, I've had people ask me and my girlfriend right now, or even, like, in the past, we get up and run every Saturday morning. Like, you enjoy that? Yeah. No one's fucking putting a gun to my head. And do it. Like, I do it because I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about it. You like running on that track when it's that hot? I wouldn't be out there. If I didn't like...
I love that.
I don't ask you, like, why you like sitting around drinking, because I don't care. It doesn't directly affect
me. I like that. There's a few things I want to touch on. Everyone expects stuff overnight, right?
Yes.
And I've personally been on weights for 25 years. Mm-hmm. You've been lifting probably even longer than I have.
Well, I've been lifting since I was 13, so 32 years.
Yeah, that's a huge commitment.
Yes.
And to look the way you do, it did not happen overnight. No. And you're still chipping away. You're still trying to look better.
Well, and I think most people don't realize, okay, it doesn't take a lot to maintain, but if you're still trying to improve the longer you've been in this game, your rate of return is less. You know, it's like at 45, you take a 20-year-old male, his first year or two, you're going to get the most amount of gains in that if you do what you're supposed to in that year to 2 year mark. And then after that, if you're consistent, then it's like chipping away, like you're totally grinding away. Yeah. And so while I don't knock youngsters for getting results, I'm more enamored by someone who's older. Like my business partner is 55 and he's still chipping away.
Oh, is he really?
He's still getting better.
And he still looks great.
Still getting better.
Yeah, I always tell people, like, if you're in shape in your 20s, yeah, whatever. I could eat McDonald's and have a six-pack in my 20s. Yeah. In your 30s, you're doing pretty good. In your 40s, you're doing really good. To have a six-pack in your 40s, you're committed. In your 50s and 60s, that's insane.
Well, and, it boils down to just building the consistent habits and then realizing, your rate of return isn't going to be as great. And, there's studies now showing that, even I used to believe this, after the age of 60, our metabolism supposedly slowed down. It's not as much as most people think.
Really?
What slows down? Us.
Gotcha.
Stop moving. Which I get it. You're tired, you've been working, maybe you got grandkids, or so I'll hear people, my hormones, this, that. No, you probably don't move and you eat too much.
Which means you're losing muscle, therefore you're losing metabolism.
And that's naturally occurring. Pretty much everyone over the age of 30, from a male perspective, your testosterone may start lowering, but you can keep that up by being active. And there's some genetic factors in there as well. If you don't lift weights, you will lose muscle mass and bone density, sarcopenia. I mean, all these things are reversible if, I'm just speaking for America, we would just get up and move.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I think that's what happens with a lot of us. We think, well, shit, if I can't go 5-6 days like you, then it's not worth it. No. It's the time that you do put in, you need to invest and get after it. You can get amazing results 2 days a week.
And it's quality over quantity.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're definitely very much on the same page.
Yeah.
On the way we think.
Well, it's like, my nephew, he's 22. He'll train with me sometimes. I write his programs, but my coach writes mine. And we do way less than he does. Like, let's just say when he works out with one of his friends, it's like, dude, you don't do as much. But, I'm always sore. It's like, well, sore isn't indicative of a great workout. Because but I feel so much more. I said, because it's quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Every set I'm executing, we're pushing with only 1 or 2 reps in the tank. So it's well thought out, planned, and programmed.
Time and attention, muscle connection.
Yeah, whereas his boys, they're doing, double days, triple days. And I've been there before.
Yeah.
But I try to tell them, don't waste your time doing that shit.
I used to go to the gym 6 days a week, 2 hours a day, twice a day. And now I do less than an hour a day, 5 days a week. And that's that.
And I kind of laugh at guys when they walk up like, how'd you get your arms like that? I was doing like 3 or 4 exercises and I did 2 today.
Yeah, but you did it slow and controlled, and your mind was there.
Mind-muscle connection,
mind-muscle connection.
And that comes with time, but, more isn't always better. But I was like that too when I was younger. If I would work out, if I train, like I trained this morning, you came along and said, hey, B, let's work out. I'd probably go when I was younger. Right now, I'm like, no. Why?
Okay. Because it's more important for what you go home and eat, or resting, or recovery.
Yeah, so I can get up and perform at a high level again tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard. We get wrapped up in there's more is better. I'm not upset at the path that I've taken because it taught me a lot.
You failed.
You failed, so you have to go through it. But I'll be honest, I was making amazing changes, but then once I hired my coach, I became even more effective and even competing. I've changed my physique more so in the last 5 years from 40 to 45 than I did probably the previous 10 years before.
Really? And what was that? What do you think did that?
Getting out of my own way.
Gotcha. Talk to me
like
about
I was on par with my nutrition, but I always tried to stay too lean all the time.
Okay.
So I wouldn't spend enough time like in maintenance, allowing my body to recover. We live here in Vegas, so it's always like you want to look good for the beach and look good for summer. Now at 45, like I just came back from Dominican Republic in January. Like I don't give a shit if my abs weren't as hard or tight.
Gotcha.
Because I know if I need to get there, I can.
So that's a mental barrier for you, right?
Yeah.
Because what body fat do you generally sit at before that?
Like right around 10 or 11%.
Which is really damn lean.
Yeah, lean. Yeah.
That's really lean.
Yes, but
so for you to go above that was up here. That was hard for you to do.
Well, it's because you're wondering, maybe I clearly did care about what I look like, whereas now I don't want to sound like a dick, but when I go to the pool, even at this, I'm 20 pounds above stage weight. I probably look better than 99% of the motherfuckers there.
Exactly.
Let's just be real.
And this is a thing I learned years ago, is I was comparing myself with people at the gym. Mm-hmm. And then I realized there's only probably one, I don't know if you know the percentage, but it's only probably 1% of the population that go to the gym, if that. And I remember going to a nightclub and I was 22, 23, and I remember looking around, I was huge compared to everybody.
Yeah.
But I was comparing myself with guys in their 40s. And guys who in their 40s who went to the gym for the last, like guys like us.
Exactly.
And then I realized that no one else is obsessed like I was. And I was like, I am probably big enough right now.
Well,
I need to prioritize.
And then when we think about it from a perspective of what you do, like, so I played college football. So I hung around mostly athletes. I moved back to Las Vegas after college. I go right into playing football. Guys who probably went community college, some played college, some guys went to pro. So you're around more people who are in shape.
In good shape.
I go to fitness expos. A lot of people there are in shape. So we walk around thinking that most of the world is in shape.
Yeah.
Go to an airport. Go to a different state. You realize.
Theme park, I like to say.
Yeah. Or you walk around and everybody's like, damn, where are you doing to work out? And I'm like, yeah. Like.
It's so easy upset. I remember walking in the supermarket and this lady's like, "What do you do? Lift houses?" Because I just came from the gym across the road.
Yeah.
But I never I always compare myself to the best or the best version that I've been at, and it's very easy to get obsessed with it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the one plus is there was no social media when I was coming up, so there was less comparison, and I learned to beat to my own drum. Whereas I can imagine what people go through now. Like you get on social media and everyone looks amazing supposedly. Or you just look at who you follow. I'm not going to lie. I follow a lot of fitness competitors and coaches. So you see a lot of nice bodies. But
in the perfect lighting. Some girl sitting there for 5 minutes to get that perfect booty shot.
Exactly.
It's not just a quick photo.
Yes.
Because you and I can take a picture in bad lighting and look awful. Or we can get the right lighting and look amazing. And I know some of my best photos when modeling is I wasn't the leanest. But the lighting was the best.
Yes.
And I look amazing because the lighting was on point and the photographer knew how to use the lighting.
Yes.
And it's a huge difference.
Well, and it's, we've gotten so into only trying to look a certain way. That's why even with the few photo shoots I have done, it's like, don't change the lighting or anything. Don't, like when you see me, I have a scar on my back. I want that to be seen.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
Because you're real.
Yeah, I'm real. Whereas, when social media first came out, I would see like fitness personalities, and then we go to like the Olympia Expo, and you see them in person, you're like, brr?
Oh, really? Big difference.
Yeah, like you don't look.
Yeah, and coming from being a photographer and that, I understand how much you can do.
But you still respect it because you know they can get there, but you're like, oh wow, she's not as hot as I thought she was in person.
Yeah, that's interesting. Tan, fake hair, fake butt, fake booze. I know Australia is like fake everything. Plus, we're brown because it's in the sun.
Yep.
Even just like, tan makes such a difference.
Oh, it makes a huge difference.
Huge
or
difference.
Even the guys, you know, like, once I got into the bodybuilding game, I realized that if you're doing it the right way, most guys aren't as lean all the time. So what they do is they take a lot of pictures when they are shredded.
And I would do the same, right?
Yeah, you pump it out. Now I'm understanding that, so the next time I cut, I'm going to take a ton of pictures for content. But when people see me, I still look good, but you don't look as lean as you are. Because I'm going to be flat honest, this shit's uncomfortable.
To being too lean, you think?
Yeah.
In what way?
You're hungry, your hormones, it's just uncomfortable.
It's a full-time job, isn't it?
Yeah, you look great, but you feel like shit.
Yeah. And how lean are you talking? Like when you're not feeling...
I've been down to like 5-6%.
Yeah.
And like when I was prepping in 2020, when we went back to the gym, I was probably still at that point. I thought I wasn't going to compete till July. We go back in like April. It was like 10 weeks. No, so like early June. A lot of the other trainers were like, dude, you're like you're ready to go. So I held that. Did one show in September, and then like 2 weeks later did Masters Nationals where I turned pro. And then another show 11 weeks later. Figure I held that from February 25th to October 22nd.
Yeah, that's a commitment.
Hard. Like,
and you try not to lose muscle and maintain muscle and even potentially grow if you can.
Yeah, so you're trying to. It's almost inevitable if you cut and you're natural, you're probably going to lose some. So I like to take a slower approach, my coach and I. But I mean, you're hungry. I mean,
how long do you diet for?
I normally go 20 weeks.
I was going to say,
take my time.
Yeah, I was going to say you're probably
that
20
way I can
weeks.
keep as much muscle as possible because I'm not the biggest guy. So I'm competing to show that I have symmetry, have aesthetics. That's great. You could be big, but I'm a small guy, so I got a small ass waist. But I got broad ass shoulders and a wide ass back.
Do you know Nathan Wallace, the Australian? He was a natural Mr. Olympia under 21.
No.
I used to work with him back in Australia.
Okay.
So I know he used to diet over 20 weeks because he was 100% natural and he did it as slow as possible to maintain as much mass as possible.
Well, it just makes it more bearable. I mean, even if you stay relatively lean, you do 8 weeks, then you got to be on.
Yeah.
It's going to be a drastic cut because you don't have that much time. So how we do it is like me and my coach, Dr. Lane Norton, like it's 20 weeks, but I'm ready 6 to 8 weeks out.
Gotcha.
Coasting.
And you're better off being ready earlier so then you can have a cheat meal if you need to.
Yeah, so we do diet breaks and stuff like that. So I pretty much knew in 2020 with shows kept getting pushed back, just be disciplined for like 3 weeks. And I was still disciplined doing my diet breaks, but my macronutrients go up, so I get a little more carbs and more fats. So just stay on, dig. And it was almost like clockwork. 3 weeks, week 1, week 2, week 3, start, you lose. Get about to week 4, you kind of shut that down a little bit. Then we do a diet break, then I go back into another deficit. And we did that like the last like 12 weeks. And
it
was like magical. So as shows kept getting pushed back, I'm ready. Like,
gotcha.
I could have been.
And that's good experience. Good training for you. Good experience.
It's difficult, but literally, I was in a deficit pretty much from February 25th to October 22nd.
That's crazy.
It's a long time.
You seem very like you're committed. You're motivated. You always go. What is your weakness? Like, I mean, to get more depth on you, like, what do you actually struggle with? Is there some days you just don't want to go for a run, or you just got a weakness for ice cream? Like, everyone's human. Like, show me your human side.
My weakness is business and setting boundaries.
What do you mean by that?
So, in the rest of my life, I set boundaries. Like, I do what I want. I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
Like, I walk around you. I'm 5'4". You think I was 6'5", I walk into, I give 2 fucks about what anyone thinks or
gotcha.
says. I'm not worried about you. Not impressed by you.
How'd you get that?
About that.
Have you always been like that?
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that because my younger sister, she's 44. She goes, "You've always just beat to your own drum."
Gotcha.
I was kind of a lone wolf. Believe it or not, I used to stutter up until the age of 14, so I couldn't talk.
Really?
Well, I wasn't that I couldn't talk. I didn't want to talk because people would laugh at me.
Make fun of you, yeah.
My sisters, they would fight people even at church.
Oh, really?
School. Yeah, they stick up for me. I just like, whatever. And so the way I spoke was through sports. So I would just
gotcha.
compete.
That was kind of...
And like I never wanted to be the captain because I couldn't say Brendan. I couldn't say the names, but I would get picked like first or second. I go out and ball out, even as a little dude.
So that's how you kind of prove yourself.
So then I just always kind of stayed to myself. So the gym was like my solace. Like I can go in here and like I don't need you.
Yeah.
And go ahead and get it in.
And you built your confidence through that.
Yeah, so then I just carried on to life, and then, now it's like, obviously that gets a little easier the older you get. You just care less what people think.
Yeah, you really do. So what's the weakness with business you're finding?
It's, I'm good at laying down most boundaries. It's upholding them. So, an example, if I was supposed to be done at a certain time, and a client, who cancels like, but yeah, can I come in a little later? I'm like, fuck, that's how I make money. It's like, yeah, even though I had something else to do, then I would move the client and stay later. Gotcha. And then be unhappy about it.
And and I go through the same thing, and I set boundaries and I stick to my boundaries. Mm-hmm. And it's about, I don't like doing it, but it's the best thing I've done, because I'm like, whether I got shit to do or I don't, it's my time. You're paying for my time, and you're taking advantage of me and my time. Mm-hmm. And the way I would do it is I've got another session on, I've got another shoot on, I've got a wedding to get to, it's kind of like a white lie, but that's how I do it.
Well, it's to get people to respect your boundaries, and what I found, like, I've been blessed. Most of my clients are business professionals, so they can afford it if they fuck up.
Yeah,
but they're trying to see what they can get away with, and I'll be honest, what's helped me is my girlfriend. She goes, "You're so good at setting boundaries everywhere else." Because if I look you right in the face, like, no, I'm not going to that.
Okay.
Even with my best friends or my mom, like, nope, I'm not going to that. Family doesn't get to go, so I ain't going.
Gotcha.
So or if someone says, like, why you didn't show? Because I want to. I'm a grown-ass man. I want to show up and do what I want.
I like it.
You guys still probably had a good time with or without me.
Yeah.
Chances are I didn't change your experience because Byron Ross didn't show up. Like, I'm not that important. Don't get it twisted.
I feel like... So I don't really have a gray area. Mm-hmm. I'm very black and white.
See, I'm the same way.
And I think you're the same.
Yeah.
And if someone comes to me like, "Oh, do you think it's my..." Like, so I actually got fired from a gym I used to work at when I was younger, because a client said, "Do you think it's my fault I'm overweight?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't put the fork to your mouth."
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to be rude, but
reality.
It is what it is, right? And you're the same. And I feel like today's society, there's too much gray area. There's too much fluff. People need to be more direct.
Well, I think people don't know what they want. They want you to keep it real with them, but then when you do,
they get upset.
But they only want you to keep it real when it fits their narrative.
Yeah, and if you're going to, like, if we're friends and you're going to business and I feel like I can provide value and make you accountable and help your business, I would rather do that for you and lose you as a friend. Exactly. And in 5 years' time, you're like, "Hey, thanks, Brandon. I really needed that at the time." But how do you get to that mindset? How do you get other people to that mindset?
I think by just being consistent and showing. I think a lot of times most people are very inconsistent and unaware of themselves. So, like, I'm the same way. If I ask advice from my friends or anyone or a business coach and they keep it real, I mean, I like it at first, but I'm the type, I need a little bit of time to think about it first. Before, like, I won't get hot about it. I'll just be thinking, like, I may say,
it's like, it hits you here, then you're like,
Brendan.
It's probably a reason.
But then I walk away and go, "Oh, yeah, the motherfucker was right." Like, okay.
That guy makes more money than me. Maybe I need to listen to him.
So then you listen, whereas most people, they're not willing to do that.
Straight away the guards up.
Yeah.
They take it,
they'll ask for advice, but then when you give it, or even clients, it's a known fact. You're losing weight if you're in a caloric deficit. It's the law of thermodynamics. If you're not losing, you're not in a deficit. But they will argue with you tooth and nail.
That they're eating as good as they said.
I'm in a deficit. Well, then why aren't you losing?
Yeah, I've got big bones. Every excuse under the sun, right?
Bro,
So here's the way I put it, and I don't like to use an example, but it's true. If you put a fat person in a concentration camp or a POW camp, they're coming out skinny. Full stop. And that's a perfect example of it, because they're eating less calories than what they're burning. Therefore, you lose weight.
Yes.
But if you're sneaking stuff in and you're making excuses, excuses only give you more excuses.
Yes. Yeah, and it's a harsh reality, because then you have to look at yourself and go, maybe I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. And that's fine. But that's a chance to learn and grow. It's like anything else in life. I'm very structured and disciplined, but, I'm human. I'm not as structured and disciplined with everything. Yeah.
But that's self-awareness too.
But then you also got to ask yourself, why haven't you gotten to X, Y, Z? If you expect something different, you got to be willing to do something different.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing, keep getting what you got.
Definition of insanity.
Yeah, I like it. Talk to, diet-wise, how important is diet? And
it's everything.
Tell me, I want people to understand this.
It's everything. What you put in, making sure, regardless of what your goal is, if you're going for weight loss, you're going for muscle gain, or you're at maintenance, you need to be 90 to 95% on. Nice. None of this, I hear people, and I know it's just them throwing out numbers, like 80% diet, 20% training. It's like, all right, keep getting 80%. Last time I checked, 80% is a B. That's why your ass is average as fuck.
I like that.
That's cool, though. I mean, if a B is good with you, but the results that you say you want or what you want to look like or comparing yourself to someone else, they're not giving 80. Now, it's tough to be 100%, but you need to be striving for as much consistency, not perfection, because perfection will get most of us in trouble. And if we're not perfect, then people tend to fall off the wagon. So give yourself some grace. Like, we're humans. Your shit's not going to always be on perfectly, but you want to do your best to be as consistent as possible. And people are like, well, I do pretty good. Well, pretty good doesn't get it done.
I do. I love this. I love everything you're saying. I love it.
I mean, the people that stand out, they don't just do pretty good.
Yeah.
They're on their shit.
Yeah, I've always said 95% is diet, and you just said the same thing.
And then it's, training. But it's being in a caloric deficit if your goal is mostly weight loss for most people. I hear guys, I can't put on muscle. You're not eating enough. Yeah, I do. Then, bro, why the fuck aren't you growing? It's a law of thermodynamics. If you eat more than your maintenance, what's called a surplus consistently, not just today, which in my opinion is harder because every single day you have to be on, or you should be on, if you're trying to gain and grow. Caloric deficit, you have a bad day, you're stressed, however you handle stress, you don't eat, you're still at a deficit.
Yeah.
No big fucking deal. But when you're trying to grow and gain, like every day, I'm tired of eating, I want to get big.
Yeah,
I'm in a gaining phase, and it's work every single day.
Yeah.
But when I'm cutting, yes, it's work because you're hungry, but at the same time, if I decide I don't want to eat today because I had a long day or I'm not really a stress eater or don't do that, but let's just say, I'm not going to eat today. You're still in a deficit. You're still going in the right direction. But if you're trying to grow, which I hear tons of guys and even, some girls, like, I want a bigger butt. You need to eat. Well, I want to get fat. Well, you need to stay on your nutrition. Don't just dirty bulk, but you need to eat. Well, I can't eat that much. Then you don't want to be big. Because genetics only take
I love it. You basically just give me this vicious cycle, like this little catch-22, this vicious cycle that you got to do one of them.
Yeah,
you can't
have to be willing.
You can't half-ass anything, right?
Yeah. Although they want to chase two rabbits. Well, I want to get lean, but I want to get big. It's like, well, unless you're overweight or you're a newbie, but after that, then you got to pick which direction you want to go.
Yeah.
You can't keep running in two directions.
How do you break through the fluff, and how do you know what's true these days? Because I feel like like you said with social media, there's so much out there.
It's hard because, which is frustrating from someone like myself, even though I'm not a scientist, I love science-based information.
Yeah.
And so you try to read, and like how I found my coach. I flexible diet, track macros. So then I started looking up guys who do it. And so I found Dr. Lane Norton, who has, his PhD in in protein. So then I started following him. And then I was like, okay, this guy's integrity, consistency. Because I pay attention to patterns.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if I ever compete, that'd be my guy. So I reached out to him. He took me on as a client. So then I started following other doctors who their shit matched up consistently. And they're willing to admit when they're wrong.
Which is huge, right?
Huge, yeah.
They also looked the part as well.
Yeah, and they looked the part, but, science is science. And when you make a mistake, because things are ever changing. Like, I never would have eaten the way I do now 15 years ago when I was a clean eater, but then I fucking binge on weekends.
Okay.
And still didn't get the results that I want. Whereas I flexible diet or track macros now, if I want something, I make it fit into my caloric budget. So, therefore, I love donuts. I don't have to sit down and eat 6 donuts. If I want to have a donut every day because my macronutrient budget is so big, I eat it right now.
Gotcha.
I eat donuts and shit before I get on stage.
Really?
Yeah, ask Cordell.
I like it. You just fit it in.
Yeah.
Hey, I got room. Donut is my choice. I fit this in. I sacrifice something else.
Whatever it is, whether I want some ice cream, whether I cook a lot because that allows me to control my macronutrients. But let's just say I want In-N-Out burger when I'm in a cutting phase. It's going to take up a large amount of my fat budget, but I'll track that first, put it in, and then I'll eat around that for the day.
And that makes perfect sense.
So then I get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I see a food pop up on social, and sometimes I do see like the good stuff.
I eat dessert every night.
So that's how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and that started just because people were like, "You can't get shredded like that." I was like, "I'll show you."
I'll prove you wrong.
And I've been doing it for 11 years.
And I guess I fast, so I fast at least 20 hours a day. So I do it that way. So I can get away with a lot because.
Well, yeah, you close down your window.
Yeah, and
and so you can eat a ton, and it's just another tool.
Yeah, it's just another way of doing it. It doesn't make it better or right. It's just what works for me.
And that's what I think is, if most of us would be so more open-minded in the health and fitness industry, it's like either my way or no way.
That's 100% right. There is no. What is the best?
I'm not a fan of keto, but if keto works for you and it's sustainable for you, knock your socks off.
Have you done keto?
No.
You never tried it? I'd be interested for you to try it because the satiation it gives you is insane.
I've heard.
Yeah, you could hold a donut in front of you on a string and you'd be like, meh. and that's saying something. You could hold your favorite food in front of someone, they just don't care because your body's just in a different state.
Yeah, but it works for some people.
Yeah, and it does. What do you think? I want to touch on that more. What is the best diet? Is it the best diet that works for you personally? And is that lifestyle? Is that commitment? Is that how busy you are?
It's lifestyle, habits, and literally what works for you.
And that changes as you get older and younger, right?
Oh, for sure. Like I clearly love tracking macronutrients because it allows flexibility, even for all my clients. If they want to go out and have a glass of wine, they can figure out a way to make that fit.
Okay.
Or
kind of like your donut.
Just learn to enjoy it and then move on from it. But a lot of us have such a poor relationship with food. So I believe by understanding what's in your food, then it allows you to have some flexibility instead of being so rigid. Because typically what most people do, I hate the word diet because it doesn't set you up for sustainable results. I eat the same way year round,
doesn't it? Yeah.
Whereas, maybe once I get closer to like stage, like 8 weeks out, maybe I'm not eating as much pasta. I'm doing spaghetti squash. Something that's a lot more satiating where I can eat more volume.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just knowing what works best for you. Some people think that I would save on macros for dessert. It's stupid, but that's what works for me.
And that's, yeah.
So then when I get off stage, I don't have to binge eat like a lot of competitors do.
So yeah, that's interesting. So you come off stage and you just go back to eating normal.
Just doing the same shit. It's just the same bigger portions of what I was eating before.
And that's amazing, isn't it?
It's sustainable.
It's lifestyle, sustainable. And that's the problem is you get people who've never been in the gym before, never been in the gym for 2 years, and all of a sudden they think they can go 6 days a week, and they burn out. They don't go again. Mm-hmm. Or they eat crap, and they suddenly go on this crazy diet, and they burn out, and they stop.
It's not sustainable.
Sustainability is everything with consistency.
Consistent habits, sustainability, and you said a word earlier, which motivation gets you started, but habits and staying driven keeps you going.
Gotcha. I've got a ton of good habits, and how do you develop good habits? Do you do it one at a time? Like, talk to me about that.
I think honestly, Brendan, I think it depends on the person. Some people have to start small and maybe just do one thing at a time. For me, I guess I like challenging myself. I'll take on something and then just focus on doing it. But at the end of the day, I don't want to let myself down.
Why is that so important to you?
And
why is that not important to other people?
Well, your word is all you have, and then why would you let yourself down?
I know Tony Robbins talks about like raising your standards, the standard that you hold for yourself, and that's how he keeps himself accountable.
Yes.
And you seem like it's a similar way of putting it.
Yeah, so it's great if, other people value what you do, but you're going to let yourself down? You're only hurting yourself.
Yeah, I know by raising your standards, hey, I'm never going to go above 11% body fat. I'm never going to make less than $100,000. You raise your standard, and then you never fall short of that. And then you keep raising that standard to be in better shape.
And it's not really about, in my opinion, what anyone else thinks. Like, you need to raise your standard to yourself.
That's interesting.
Because at the end of the day, someone's always going to have something to say. So if you can be happy and comfortable with yourself, then people can control you like a puppet. And humans can be
I love what
individuals.
I love what you said in that. And I think something I learned years ago, it was like, you're too big, you're too skinny, you're too lean, you're too fat.
You can't fucking win.
And what I realized is you can't win.
No.
And I was like, why does any of this matter to anybody? And they're just, the only reason they're saying that is because I'm making them feel uncomfortable because I'm in better shape or I'm bigger or I'm fatter. It's their insecurity. And then I was like, I got to stop listening to other people's insecurities. And am I happy right now?
Yes.
Yes or no. If I'm not, do something about it. If I am, keep continuing it. When someone's like, do I look fat in these jeans? If you're fat, you're going to look fat in these jeans. If you're in good shape, you put anything on in your shape, you're going to look great.
Yeah.
If you're fat and sloppy, you're going to look fat and sloppy in anything you put on.
If you're uncomfortable, it's a lot. Mostly, you're probably just looking for validation. Whereas
you don't look for validation. I don't look for validation.
I wear what I want. I go where I want. If you don't like me, that's cool. I'm not walking around trying to be disliked.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know how many times I've heard people say, don't get any bigger. It's not your fucking decision. What if I choose to? What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to you?
Like, you're making me uncomfortable because you're in shape. Why? I'm not intimidated by you.
I always talk about this. And in 5 years' time, that person may not be a friend. I may not be in your life anyway. But I didn't get bigger. I didn't look like this. Or I didn't try this business because of what you thought when I was 40. And now I'm 45 and I have no idea where you are.
Now, if anything, you would want to be around people who are happy for you, whatever you choose to do. And that's how I live my life. Like, I don't want to be judged. So who am I? I do my best not to judge you. Yes, I'm human. And the shit crosses my mind. But then when I go, Byron, how does that directly affect you? Why do you give 2 fucking wood nickels? Yeah. I don't.
What's your environment like? You got good people around you?
Yes.
And how do you get those good people around you? Have you always had that, or is that something you really aware of now? Because I know I'm personally very aware of that.
Yes and no. When I was younger, you know, you're hanging out with everybody. Everybody's cool, and then I just kind of start to notice that you're going in different directions, and some of the people weren't going in the direction that I want. And since I've always kind of beat to my own drum, like, I'm comfortable being alone. Yeah. So then I'm like, I don't need you.
I'm the same. I'm very comfortable being alone, but sometimes it can get lonely.
Of course.
And that's the problem I personally struggle with. I'm very driven, but I do get lonely. I'm by myself 90% of the time. But I'm knocking off all these goals and I'm kicking ass. But I'm like, I'm doing this by myself. I'm like, but I'm okay with it. Yeah. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, yes, I have a lot of family here. You know, I have friends, associates, like I have a core of friends, but at the same time I don't really need a lot of people. And as extroverted as I am when it comes to training, when I'm outside the gym I can be super introverted. Now I'll be cool, like when I'm out in the grocery store, I'm like, hey man, how you doing? Yeah. You know, I'm cool like that, but like I don't need to hang out with you. I don't need to talk on the phone. I get all my socialization mostly at work. Okay. So when I'm out and about, I can literally be the life of the party 1 minute, turn up on the table dancing, acting a fool, and I'll just bounce the next. Or I'll show up and like, I don't like none of these motherfuckers. And I'm out.
Gotcha.
And all my friends and family know I'm like that. Byron may show up, he may not.
Yeah. You just do what you want.
Yeah, Byron kind of does.
And you're not trying to impress anybody.
Yeah, you know.
I like that.
Like, I'm a mama's boy, and I ride a motorcycle, and I know she doesn't like it, but I'm like, I only got one life to live. And she respects that, so I ride a motorcycle.
Really? Mm-hmm. I like it. How do you get past, I feel like everybody cares about other people's opinions. And it's very rare to have a conversation with someone who really seems not to care about other people's opinions. How do you get past that? For me, it was time It was time, and honestly, Brendan, working with people helps you out a lot. What do you mean?
So becoming aware, when you listen, like I've been blessed. Most of my clients they do pretty well and always have. Even when I trained at 24 Hour Fitness, Las Vegas here and San Jose, and then they do so well, and they supposedly don't care about what anyone thinks, but the minute someone does say something or they're worried about what they're doing, when I've learned that people are always going to have something to say. Always. So you might as well just beat to your own drum. I'm not disrespectful if you have something to say. I'm just like, I'm going to still do what the fuck I want.
There's no time for it. I know Will Smith's got a quote, and he's like, try to impress everybody, you impress nobody. Exactly. And I love that quote. And I always think about that. Mm-hmm. Because like you said, you're too fat, too skinny, you're too this. You're never going to be good enough for... There's always going to be someone who doesn't approve for what you're doing.
Well, and the reality of it is the people that love and care about you, and they're genuine, they're going to love and care about you. It's
no matter what.
It's no matter what. So like my mom, she'll love and care. My friends who are my guy friends who are in my circle, my girl, you know, the family members that do, they're always going to be there no matter what. So the others, take it, leave it with a grain of salt. Like, I don't wish bad on you, but if I never talk to you again, I don't lose any sleep. Don't wish, like, literally. And I'll see you out and still be, hey, what's up, bro? But I'm cool, like, I don't care what you think. Mm. And then that gets you a whole lot of other comments, because I've heard it. So you got little man syndrome. Why? Because I don't give two fucks about what you think.
Yeah, that's just looking for a reason to pick on you, right?
Well, because I carry, God forbid, I carry myself with confidence. Yeah. I'm willing to beat to my own drum or do what I want. Hey, bro, we should all go ride together. No, I don't like riding with people. Why? Because I don't want to. You should join a riding, like a motorcycle crew. Why? So I can sit in the fucking back and follow what someone else wants to do. What if I don't want to eat there?
Yeah.
Or what if I'm done? I'll peel out.
You just like, yeah, the lone wolf. It's not me. You're not a sheep. You're definitely the wolf who just does. I feel like most people are sheep. Most people just follow the trends, listen to everybody else, and they just don't really make their own decisions or follow their own path.
Well, I think it's good to listen, but then be able to not be swayed.
Yeah,
like, you want to hear other people's. I mean, because I talk all day with clients, so you hear things, and I try to see things from people's perspective. Like, maybe where they get that from, or why do they feel that way? Instead of going, no, you're fucking dumb as shit.
Yeah, putting yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah, put yourself, and I think a lot of times we lack that, especially as Americans. So I try to think about, okay, maybe where they come from, maybe they don't. Like, a good example, one of my clients, long-term client, my nephew used to go to Agassiz Prep, which is on the west side, which is where I grew up at, where my mother still lives. And he loved my nephew. He's like, man, it's got to be a rough neighborhood. There's a lot of bad kids over there, blah, blah, blah. Grow up. I said, hey, bro, I grew up in that neighborhood. Crickets.
Yeah, okay.
But I get it, he wasn't raised like that. Like, he grew up in the Bay Area, He came from a little bit of money. He has money. So it's like, just because you come from a bad area doesn't mean there aren't good people there.
Yeah, that's...
Trust me, there were a lot of knuckleheads in my neighborhood. But there's a lot of guys that got out or went on to some, like, quite a few of my buddies got college scholarships, got degrees, and are doing well. And our parents still live over there. So not everyone is bad. But literally, it was like crickets. I was dying laughing.
Yeah, that's just put him in his place.
Yeah, so we're not willing to look or see. Sometimes other people, it's like, I think more so than ever now. Like, I try not to talk politics, religion, any of that shit with people because, first of all, I don't care about your opinion. You're not swaying me, number one. But I'll listen to you maybe to see where you're coming from just so I can go, okay, this is why this person thinks like that. And there's nothing wrong with it.
I love everything you're saying. Like, it's like listening to myself. Maybe that's why I love it.
Well, I just try to be open-minded.
No, but like politics, really, I don't touch it.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in touching
assholes.
it.
People get so wrapped up and emotional with it or religious, like...
People get wrapped up in the wrong stuff.
Everything.
Stuff that doesn't matter.
Everything,
Who's president, it stops me starting a business. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't stop you from doing anything.
Did you go to church? Yeah, I grew up Baptist. Yes, I paid tithes. Why does it affect you why I choose to do with my 10%?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Why do you care? It didn't come out. I think that's stupid.
What's your thoughts on college degrees? You think you should do it? Like, are you glad you did it? You encourage people, like kids, to do it now?
Yes and no. I'm obviously proud to be a college graduate, and I'm not forcing my nephew, but I asked him, what do you want? Like, what do you want to do? So if you want to be an orthopedic PA,
yeah, obviously you got to do it.
You got to go to school. But then also there's a lot of ways to make money now these days. The only downside I see with a lot of us or Americans now is like no one wants to work for anything. Everybody just wants something given to them.
Okay.
So it's like, well, you have to be willing to work for something. Like, I haven't gotten to this level. It took me time to build to this.
Yeah.
And so when you meet new trainers, like, well, I want to make what you want. Bro, you don't know shit. And also, just because you're cool or you kind of in shape, it's like, do you know how to work with people?
Yeah.
Most of the people you work with, you're not going to be training them the same way you train yourself.
Yeah, so like college can be good because it's commitment and it forces you. But you could do something like I do where I consume and read so much content and I'm constantly working on myself.
But you're still learning.
Yeah, like I've never done a degree, but I read 60 books a year.
And that's way more books than I've read.
Yeah, and I mean the average...
In my lifetime, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, and the average American reads less than one book a year. The average CEO reads 60 books a year. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I've got nothing against school, but if you don't want to go to school, you need to put your head down and work hard to figure out... Still have a plan and still execute on that plan.
I mean, because how many people do you know that have their degrees but they don't work in their field?
Majority of them, right?
I mean, I started off as a civil engineering major, believe it or not.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I was bored out of my mind. Didn't relate.
So you got the brains and the know-how to do that, but...
Well, I wasn't in it that long. I was like, this shit sucks.
But I mean, obviously you got the potential to do that, but you follow your passion over even money then, didn't you? Because you probably make a lot more money doing... I mean, you could make the same money, but
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Yeah. Well, I found that, clearly switching to kinesiology was right on my alley. I've always played sports, been active, and I like that. But then I also realized that money doesn't make you happy either. It's great to have it, but I've been around a lot of miserable ass people with money.
Talk to me about that. It's like following your passion. It seems to be the most important thing. Like follow your passion and find a way of getting paid for your passion.
Yes.
And that doesn't have to be $1 million a year. That could be $50,000 a year, right?
Well, yeah, and your definition, in my opinion, of success is from person to person. It's like beauty. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
So if someone's super happy about the amount that they make and they're comfortable, then why does anyone else should come along and go, oh, you need to make more money?
Yeah.
They're happy. Because I've been around people who are multimillionaires. They're fucking miserable.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you have all this, but, they don't have any social skills. They don't have a life. Like, whatever. They haven't dealt with their past. Whatever it may be. You're like, well, you got all this money. You're still not happy. So I think that happiness and all that is literally in the eye of the beholder.
I agree with that. You've heard Gary Vee talk about that. He goes, you can make $100,000 a year in a job you hate, or make $30,000 a year in a job you love, take your kids to soccer on the weekend, and you're happy. Who's anyone to tell you any different?
Yeah.
And you don't need to drive the nice car. You don't need to have the big house if you're happy.
Yeah.
And I feel like
there's also nothing wrong with if that's what makes you happy, having a nice ass car.
Nothing wrong with that either. Go nuts.
Knock socks off.
Get 10 of them.
But don't think that everyone else needs to be on that. It's no different than like health and fitness. I don't walk around thinking like everybody should be in shape. Don't care. I don't wish any bad on anybody. Want people to be healthy and happy, but at the end of the day, if you don't choose that, then that's on you.
So with the health, it's more than just for you. It's like obviously you want to look good, but what in more depth on that? What is the main reason behind like you?
It was for health because I mean, obviously starting out, let's just be real. I wanted to look a certain way. I loved Lou Ferrigno. I loved Sean Ray, and then I saw that okay, this could help me in sports as well because now if I'm stronger, faster, even as a smaller athlete, then I can perform at a higher level and go longer. But then once I realized how much staying active in nutrition after I got out of college could can't change my genetics, but how much more control I have over that, then that was a game changer. So yes, my health is first and foremost.
Yeah.
I love to stay athletic and then aesthetics.
Gotcha.
And so that changed everything. So I was like, if I just changed my nutrition and ate better, I could probably live longer and not have all the things that plagued my father, my uncle, my grandmother, this uncle, this person in my family. It's like, oh, shit, it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah, it is right. The more you do it, the more you realize there's so many benefits that come with that.
Yeah, and even the mental aspect, like the gym for me is like a place of solace. Like you go in there, you work out, I'm self-reflecting. I'm thinking about what's going on in my life, thinking about how I'm showing up in the world. Like, oh shit, you probably shouldn't have said that. All type of shit.
It's like your time.
Yeah, it's like your time. It's like my therapist in between sets. You're sitting there thinking, and there's just some about being able to have that outlet of being able to just move and release those endorphins and just feel good about yourself.
I know I've talked about this in the past. I could have the biggest fight with a girlfriend at the time, and I would go to the gym, walk out, and I'm back to a normal, healthy mood.
Yeah.
Come home, she's still fuming.
Yeah. Well, and it's all about what makes you happy. Like, my mom has had major brain surgery. I left all my family at the hospital and went and worked out.
Gosh, that was just your way of
doing it. That was my way of doing it. They didn't like it, but
I could see that.
I had the plus because it's my mom. I'm a mama's boy. So I need to get out of there and change my head. Also, the surgeon that was doing her surgery was one of my clients. So he's going to let me know immediately if anything's going on. But sitting there for those 4 hours drove me crazy. My father passed. I worked out that morning before his funeral. My cousin, who we were connected at the hip, I worked out that morning before his funeral because that's what works for me.
But from the outside in, someone would think that's the worst thing in the world. But I can totally understand why you would do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's...
It was just, okay, yes, on one end, clearly it's selfish because I should be with my family. But at the same time, I needed that for me, so I went and did that.
And that's self-awareness, the best way it works for you to help you deal with certain things.
Yeah.
And everybody's different.
Yeah, everybody's different.
I feel like most people haven't got self-awareness, and I feel like training gives you huge self-awareness.
That's a fact, bro.
Yeah.
Most people have no self-awareness. They don't realize how they show up, how they come across. Like I try to be as real as possible. I'm selfish as hell. Yet I'm very self-aware. My girlfriend tells me this all the time. Like, you pay attention to a lot of shit for someone who's super selfish. Like, yeah, because it lets you know how you show up, or at least you know you have empathy for other people. You're not just fucking walking through the world like I own this bitch.
Yeah, the world's all about me.
Yeah, you know, whereas I realize it's just going to go on with or without Byron Ross.
Yeah, unfortunately it does, right?
That's just the reality of it, you know, and I think sometimes we try to think we're too special. It's like, guess what? This shit will keep floating whether your ass is on this ship or not.
Yeah, that's
a harsh reality.
Yeah.
It's not to devalue you or anything, but like at the end of the day, most people walk around like their shit don't stink. No, I smell that. That's you. You know, like you may think you're special. Someone told you're special, and I think that's why we're in the position we are with a lot of things in life now. Everybody needs to be special and feel special. No, feel good about yourself, but we're all replaceable.
I want to ask you about that. Like, I know we didn't go through it, but it was like there's trophies given out for like second and third and participation trophies. What's your thoughts on that?
I can't stand it.
It's the worst thing, right?
Yes,
that was after our generation.
Yeah, you're gonna take L's in life. It's inevitable. So it's how you bounce back and get up from that.
And the sooner you realize you are going to fail at things, the better.
And there are going to be people that are better than you, stronger than you, bigger than you, faster, have more money.
And it's okay.
That's okay.
And if you fail, it's okay.
Yeah. But you should want to get up and improve.
How you get back up.
Yes.
And getting back up. And knowing you got to get back up.
Exactly. Whereas we kind of take that away these days.
Mm.
You know, I mean, I firmly agree, like at a younger age, most kids should get the opportunity to play. But then once you get past a certain age, in my opinion, you get to high school, that changes. Because this is going to change some of these kids' lives. There's still a lot of kids in America, they're still the first generation to go to college. So, yeah, things should be fair and equal to you. You know, you get to like high school, and after that, if you're not good enough to play, it's all right, bro. Yeah. I can't be mad at because I wasn't able to go pro. Wasn't big enough. Probably wasn't talented enough either. Still played college, you know, so it's learning to, everyone's not going to, that's less than 1%. It's just like golf, too.
Yeah.
It's great that there's a 1% of people that are going to be in that elite status. But you can still do well, and all they asses ain't happy either.
Mm. And yeah, I saw a thing on Kobe Bryant yesterday, and he was, I think he's 14 or something, he was struggling as a basketballer. And he went from kind of training to training 3 to 4 hours every single day. Mm-hmm. And he goes, most people my age were playing maybe twice a week for an hour.
Yeah.
He goes, I then went from doing that to training 4 hours every single day. I just outworked everybody. Mm-hmm. And by doing so, the gap got bigger and bigger and bigger. And he goes, I never stopped. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference, right?
He's an outlier.
Yeah.
There's only so many of those.
You got to put the time in.
Yeah, you have to be willing to put the time in if you want to separate yourself from the rest of the pack.
And that's how I personally get good at anything I do. And I don't mean in a cocky way. I just put the time in. And if I half-ass do something, I'll get half-ass results. And if I 100% put... and that's how I will I know Will Smith again. He goes, I will outwork anybody. Mm-hmm. He might not have the same talent, but he goes, I will outwork anybody.
Put in the work.
And that's huge, right?
That's what separates you from the rest of the
pack.
That's
the only thing that separates you. It's the only thing that makes you stand out.
There's a lot of talented people. There's a lot of smart people. It's just, are you willing to put in the work? And then you'll see a lot of people that are super talented and aren't willing to put in the work.
Yeah, and they get left behind eventually, don't they? Mm-hmm. Talent will only, what is that saying? Talent will only get you so far.
Yeah.
It's works
I would
everything.
rather have someone who's willing to work than someone who's super talented who isn't willing to work any day of the week.
I've even heard Elon Musk and that talk about when they're hiring staff is they want more people willing to work than they are people who are just naturally gifted.
Yeah,
that's interesting. So you're competing. Can you? I don't know too much about it. Can you talk to me about that?
All right. So I turned pro in 2020 in the physique class. I compete in classic
beach
physique.
body type.
Yeah.
Okay.
Board shorts. So
So what percentage is that on stage? Like 6'7" or 5'6"? You're not getting too crazy shredded.
They're shredded. You know, I mean, there's obviously outliers who get lower than that, but on average, The elite guys are 4, 5, 6.
Oh, so they're pretty damn lean.
Yeah, they're
Gotcha.
lean as shit.
Okay.
Well, and you look at the classes now, especially like we'll say the IFBB. A lot of the physique guys, they're huge because there's no weight limit. Whereas when you compete in classic physique, like I'm 5'4", so as an amateur in the NPC, I couldn't be above 165.
Okay.
So now as a pro, even though I didn't turn pro as classic physique, I turned pro in physique. I can cross over and do classic physique, but my weight cap is 175.
Okay.
And it's based on height. So as a pro, I can compete against you, even though you're what, 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah, 6'1", 230.
You know, so 230, but then there's a weight cap on your weight. When you're in physique, there is no weight cap.
Okay.
So you'll have guys who are 5'4", 190 pounds on stage.
Oh, damn.
If you can get lean enough.
That doesn't seem very physique, though, does it? That seems pretty jacked.
I mean, yeah, they're getting big now. I mean, it's the look has definitely changed over the years compared to when they first introduced the class. I personally think guys are getting a little bit too big.
Yeah, that sounds a little too big.
You know, so, and I know you still have to bring your best physique, but let's just be honest, we're all enamored by size. So if I'm on stage at 5'4", 160 pounds, stand next to a 6'1" guy who's 220, I can have the most aesthetics in the world, but you still eye goes to that. I love bodybuilding. I've been around this shit since I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And I still see it, and I see a big dude like you up there, I'm like, oh shit, he's huge.
It's like Arnie with
Frank Colombo.
Yeah, same thing, right?
Colombo was in amazing shape.
Amazing shape.
Our eye automatically goes
Yeah.
to the bigger. You know, and there are smaller guys who do win, but in general, you know, it's just natural. So, you know, competing is fun because all you can do is bring your best to the stage, and it's super subjective. And I look at it as if you know you've put in the work, then that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
What's your goal with the competing? Like, where do you go from this?
Honestly, just having fun with it. Definitely helps with business.
Yeah, just having you are your brand, right?
Yeah.
That
you
is
know,
huge.
so then people see, and it's just kind of cool. But for me, honestly, most of my clientele are lifestyle clients, so they never want to get on stage. So it's honestly something, Brendan. I started at 40 because I was like, all right.
You started at 40?
Yeah, I didn't start competing until I was 40.
Wow.
Yeah, I was
That's
playing
awesome.
super flag. I was playing flag football, competitive. You know, going to tournaments and stuff like that. I was training Krav Maga like crazy.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah.
Where were you training at?
It was Las Vegas Krav Maga. They're on.
With Donovan.
Yep.
He's a savage. He's such a nice guy too.
He's a nut though.
I love that guy.
Yeah, like a rhino.
Such a nice guy too.
Yeah, love Donovan. But him and I used to play flag football together.
Oh, did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Can he move?
Oh yeah.
I know he can move on his.
Oh, he can move on the field.
Really,
too.
he can run too.
So we were playing flag football together, and then I'd start researching. I'd never taken any martial arts. So I looked up Krav Maga, and I was like, oh, so Israeli fighting self-defense. You know, it's super offensive, but you're taught to walk in peace. And then, Lord, I walk into the building, and it's him teaching the class.
Gotcha.
And so when I fell in love with it, but then I decided to compete at the age of 40 after doing Krav Maga for like 3 or 4 years.
Gotcha.
I want to get my black belt, and then I was like, let me see if I can compete. And so prep for 11 weeks. Lane was my coach. I took second. Wasn't very happy about that. And I was like, fuck this.
That doesn't sound like you.
Yeah, I want to be first. So then 10 weeks later, I did my next show, did classic physique and physique, and won my class. And then talked to one of the head judges here, my business partner who's competing, and my girls like, you think I can turn pro? And they were like, yeah, you look like a pro. So then I was like, destined to become a pro.
Just give it a go.
Yeah, just give it a go. And did some things wrong. Did an off season on my own without my coach, trying to play the size game. Went from 5'4", 156 pounds on stage, and in 4 months up to 193.
Oh, damn.
Looked like fucking Mr. Potato Head. Put on way too much fat.
That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, on my small ass frame.
Yeah.
Then cut down for like my first show. Probably should have not done that show. Did the next one 4 weeks later. Upper body looked great, but lower body was still soft. And then did a national show because I was qualified, even though I still did okay. And then kind of got blown away, like took 4 call outs and was like, all right, we need to take some time to just grow. And then my goal was to just be undeniable. So when I took the stage in 2020, you know, yeah, actually got 2 pro cards in physique and placed 4th and 8th in classic because I did 35 plus and 40 plus. So I still did well in classic as well. And so I was just like, all right. And then did my first pro show 11 days later in 2020 and took 3rd.
Gotcha.
In the master's class. So looking to compete, hopefully here soon again.
Okay.
You know, just to give me something to do.
Yeah,
to see. But I'm not sure how much longer I'll do it.
Yeah.
Just because.
But it's just good to have goals, right?
Yeah.
It's a goal that, like you said, fits into your business, fits into your physique, fits into everything that you represent.
It keeps you driven towards something.
Yeah, and that's the thing I like is like when I stopped competing, I stopped doing like when I was in the show, I was like, I don't really have any reason to walk around Babs anymore.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, and I know I got softer because I'm like, well, it's important to me, but it's not that important.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, and it's like if you've been there before, it's like I know what it takes to get back there.
Yeah, I want to touch on that. It's like when you put the work in, I'll put the work in. I put the work in for like 25 years. When I want it, it's there.
Yeah.
If it doesn't matter how fat I am, within 3 or 4 months, it's there. I'm
the
back to like elite shape because the hard work's being put in. And then you've also built that. You built the information. You built that mindset where you can just turn it on, right?
Yeah, you know what it takes.
If you're 250 pounds, a year later you're back in elite shape because you know what it takes. You know the path to get there.
Yeah.
And people got to understand that it's not. You can't just be in great shape overnight. You got to put the time in. You got to put the.
You got to put the time in.
Yeah.
You got to be consistent. I mean, I'll laugh at people and they go, "Why are you so confident you can lean out?" It's like, first of all, because I've done it so many times.
So many times.
Even before I started competing, when I wanted to get lean, I would get lean as shit.
Just
I almost walk around. People are like, "Do you compete?" Like, nah. Why do you look like that? Cause. And I'll even tell people, give me $250,000 to get up to 210 pounds. I guarantee you, you put a timeline on it, as long as it's reasonable. We're not talking about no 8 weeks bullshit. I guarantee you, your money's gone. I'll tell you right now, you might as well write that check to Byron Ross and sign that bitch.
Yeah.
You just lost your money.
Yeah, because it's.
I know myself.
And it kind of goes back to business. Like if you know how to make money, you know how to create a business. It's the same thing.
Same thing.
Doesn't matter how broke you are. You know eventually you're going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. And some people may see it as cockiness or you're arrogant, but it's like I'm not a father. So I'm sure a man who is a father can be a much better father than I could because I never raised a child.
Yeah.
So I would hope that he would do a better job. So when someone goes even right now in the gaining phase, you're not worried about how much fat you gain. It's like, well, I want to keep the fat low, but I'm not worried about dropping this weight.
Because you've done it so many times.
I've done 8 shows. I've cut even before that how many times? So it's just setting the deadline, hit the mark.
Gotcha. The father thing. Do you plan on being a father?
Nah, that ship has sailed.
if you were to be a father, what do you think some of the key things like parents should be teaching their kids?
Number 1, be there for them. Be very consistent and be mindful of how you show up around them. So their kids are like little recorders. They're paying attention to everything.
So like them exercising, them eating the right way,
moving,
leading by example.
Leading by example, exactly. So even when I look at my clientele, most of them have been women. Over the 90 to 95% of my clientele, 20 years have been women. And even the males, they have kids. Most of my clients' kids have all been active because they see their parents.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think the same thing follows with business too. Like when I was training Donovan, my daughter would come and watch.
Yeah.
What do you think she'd do? She'd run around kicking and punching stuff.
Well, my nephew, I got him in the Krav Maga.
Yeah.
And so he was running. He saw Uncle Byron doing it. Saw my business partner, Uncle Greg, doing it. So he wanted to do it. So he's trained in Krav Maga as well. And
you think if your parents or your teachers tell you something but they're not doing it themselves, would you go to a fat personal trainer? No.
It doesn't really.
A broke financial planner.
They can't relate.
You can't.
I think sometimes parents believe that, my kid will learn to work out when they get older. Well, most Americans are overweight, and life's only, for most of us, going to get tougher.
Yeah.
So it's going to become less of a priority. So by showing those skills, those habits, I don't believe on forcing it on them, but just leading by example, and they'll want to get into it. And then if they want to get into it, include them. If you're down working out, don't get out of my way. I'm trying to finish this set. No, if your son wants to get down and do push-ups,
totally encourage it.
Allow them, or they want to go to the track like my nephew. The reason he was heavier when he was younger, overweight, but I never stayed on him about it. But he was just at the gym all summer as a kid, from 4 up until he graduated high school. He'd come hang out, and then it just became a lifestyle for him.
Gotcha.
He picked it up and actually came to me. He's 22 now. Came to me when he was 12. It was like, I want to change my life and develop some, some self-esteem and some discipline. I'm like, fuck do you know about discipline? You're 12 years old. I got adult clients who are CEOs who can't be fucking disciplined.
Yeah.
And he lost 22 pounds that summer with
Gotcha.
Krav Maga and training.
That's awesome.
And he's never looked back.
That's awesome.
And he's a kinesiology major now too.
And even just the fact to feel open enough to, this is actually the next thing I wanted to talk to you is, you're as driven as you are, you don't have an ego.
Try not to.
You have the ability to step back, and you remind me of myself. You step back and you ask the right questions to the right people to learn the right information. How did you get that? And obviously, you put that across to your family too. Like, I mean, you admitted you needed help, and you asked the right questions, and it helped you get further.
I just always try to think that I'm not better than anyone else. You know, I'm still always learning.
And you don't know it all, right?
Yeah, you don't know it all. You don't know what you don't know. And so a client of mine, that neurosurgeon who operated on my mom, clearly he does well. And he said something to me when I start, like, I don't train him anymore, but I train his wife and his son, who's actually in college playing baseball today, his first baseball game. We were training, and he goes, we're all replaceable. And I'm thinking, like, how could you be replaceable? Like, you operate on brains and spines, and there's only so many of you. Then he said, he goes, I'm not the only neurosurgeon in town. You eventually find someone to operate on your ass. And then that made me think, like, you know how many trainers are in Las Vegas?
Yeah.
So if I don't treat people with respect and empathy and show that I care, you just go to the next person.
Yeah. That's so true.
And so it just taught me, like, we're all replaceable. And I'm the same way with people. If I hire you for a service or you show up late or I don't like or you don't, I'll just go to someone else.
Yeah.
I ain't the only show in town, you know?
Yeah.
So it's learning to, and he also taught me this, having control, ego. Be confident about what you do, but also realize you don't know everything.
Yeah, being able to step back and ask questions. And someone looks better than you, ask questions. Someone's making more money than you, ask questions.
And so,
like, 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
And so by being around successful people, like my clientele, like I pick their brains. We talk about these things. I ask them questions about things. You know, like I was trying to purchase my first home in 2008 when the economy took a shit. So it was like perfect for me. I'm doing well. And I was telling my client about this home I wanted to buy, single story. I'm, 31 at the time. She's like, why do you need such a big home? How are you going to put a yard on that property? You said all the appliances are gone. You got to pay for those. You're going to need furniture. You know what that water bill is going to be. No one had ever taught me that shit. Probably changed my life.
It stopped you from overspending.
Yeah.
And that's...
Because when you're young, you're making money. It's like, oh, shit, I'm going to have this 3,200 square foot home. All this land. Like, we're going to ball out. I'm going to be kicking it. And she said that, and I was like, oh, shit. Like, she goes, probably going to cost you like $50,000 just to do the yard.
It's so crazy. And I've talked about this before, the rich stay rich, the poor stay poor, because you make the wrong decisions, because no one's ever taught you any different. And it goes back to the eating, the training.
Yeah.
It's just a vicious cycle.
She goes, what you're saying doesn't add up, because she goes, you don't want roommates, you don't want to depend on other people, you're going to be out of your budget. And I was like, oh shit. And it made sense.
That's so crazy, right?
Yeah.
And it's so simple. And it also goes back to that society it's just embedded that you got the bigger is better, new is better. Because there's no, like, I think I got iPhone 10 right now. Mm-hmm. I could have the newer one, but do I need it? No.
Exactly.
Do you care if I got it? No. Does anybody care? And if they do, who cares?
Yeah.
I drive around a $6,000 Camry paid in cash. There's no car payment. I don't care. Does my car work? Yes or no? Yes.
Get me from point A to B.
And that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. But what matters is what you're making and what you're doing with that money.
Yes.
And not trying to impress other people. Not trying to buy the biggest house, the newest car.
Well, and how are you showing up in the world, too?
Yeah.
Like, I had a client say that to me, like, when I did finally buy my house, it was, 2,000 square foot track home, something I can afford on my own. And I was driving a Honda Civic paid for, my first motorcycle paid for. And she was like, you need to get you a nice BMW. And she was older than me. I said, does that make any sense? She goes, well, yeah, it's a nice car. It's like, so my car note is going to be more expensive than my house. That makes no fucking sense. And I said, you think I should have a nice lady in my life? So if I'm strapped to this house and this car, how can I take a woman out?
Plus, you're probably going to be attracting the wrong woman anyway, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be going for your asset. Well, not even an asset. You're going for your liabilities.
Yeah, and so she was like, damn, you're kind of smart. I was like, it has nothing to be smart. It's like, I'm living my best life right now.
Yeah.
My car, my motorcycle paid off. I'm a new homeowner. I'm still young.
Got room to breathe.
Like, that doesn't
I love what I do for a living.
Yeah, so, and then remember, I still have a gym that I have to cover if shit goes bad, too.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh, you think different. was like, well, definitely being around people, not coming from much. I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah. And have you been at a low point where you're like, I'm never going back to this? Like you've made some bad mistakes.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Like buying into my business at first, you know, a business partner left us and we were left with debt. And so,
I gotcha.
And so you, as a guarantor, had to pay that debt off.
Was just the wrong type of contract or not? Just
basically, she just screwed us.
Really?
Yeah. But
Gotcha.
you know, it was like, all right, I'm blessed. I came back from that. You know, no hard feelings. I don't fool with her no more. But
that's the thing, right? How do you not hold regret, and how do you just? Because I don't hold regret. I just kind of like, if someone doesn't add value to my life, that's that. I just cut it off like X. Let's just cut them off and move on because there's no point.
I'll be honest. At first, I was angry, which is
For
unlike
sure.
me because you know $60,000 in debt, and so you leave our other business partners, and now there's just two of us with this. When you brought me into this.
Oh, that was her idea in the first place.
To bring me into buying in with them. So at the same time, I'm like, all right, I don't care if you don't want to do this anymore. At least help us pay this debt.
Do it the right way.
Her and I went to high school together, so I knew her. Like, she knew me. She knew that this was my passion. So I was angry at first, and I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, it's good you're not here.
Yeah.
And I got over it pretty quick. I was like, you know what? Lesson learned. Always make sure you pay attention to the finances.
Gotcha.
Don't trust people.
And how's business now?
Business is good, man. I'm blessed. Like, I've been busy as hell ever since I started training one-on-one. And then since 2020, it got better because then some people start taking their health serious. And then a lot of people liked our facility because we're much smaller. So, being that we're only 2,800 square feet, you're only allowed to be there if you're training with a personal trainer.
Okay.
So then it made it, you know, pretty nice for a lot of people. And even though we rent space to other trainers because they're independent contractors, I mean, there'd be times when I'd be there 3 or 4 hours by myself. So basically, my clients are like, I have a private gym to myself.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, it's not, you don't have all the hustle and bustle of a commercial gym, but most of my clientele don't like that
Who
anyway.
wants that?
Yeah.
I feel like you go to a personal trainer to get away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they like it. They see that, you know, they tend to see the same people in the hour that they're there. I'm a very consistent person, so I can tell off the top of my head who I see Monday, Wednesday at 9, Tuesday, Thursday at 8.
Yeah.
Because it's schedule, you know, you help set people routine and sustainable habits.
Yeah.
So
sustainable.
So it's like a small little community.
Sustainable habits.
You know,
I like that.
And that's what my focus is, teaching people sustainable habits.
What's the hardest thing having your own business you're kind of finding, especially a gym type business? Because I know it can be quite hard.
Figuring out ways to grow.
To get more trainers in,
to get more trainers, or like, what are you doing with your business personally? So like we had spoke about before we started, like I'm doing more online coaching because I was trading dollars for hours.
Yeah.
Well, I love being at the gym, love training people, but I don't want to be there 14 hours anymore.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to do like, I'll be honest, I'll probably, as long as I can, train 4 to 6 people a day because I like it.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoy it, but I don't want to be there all day.
Yeah.
So it's trying to find different ways to get revenue.
Yeah, I want to touch on that. Is like when you're trading time for money, even you're making $1,000 per hour, there's only 40 to 60 hours in a week. You're still capped.
Yeah.
And you're sure going to burn out pretty quick too.
Facts.
So you need to, if your goal is to make more money, you need to figure something out. If you're happy just doing those 5-6 clients a day and making whatever it is per hour, so be it.
That's fine. Yeah.
So that's been one cap. So trying to expand the awareness of the gym so you get more trainers.
So get more trainers, or just get myself out there more so I can get more online clients, which is clearly less time spent with people, but you can make a decent amount of money.
Gotcha. And
because they only check in with you once a week.
Social's going to be your best friend for that. Looking the way you do, being your age, being outspoken like you are.
And learning to market to a certain niche. You know, things that I'm learning, you know, because I've never marketed before, I'll be flat honest.
And marketing's everything. And that's...
I'm learning that.
Yeah. And honestly, that's kind of why I read as much as I do, is because what I realize, the more I read, the more I learn, the more I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, probably the same as what you do, is I'll immerse myself in something. I'm like, okay, it's marketing. And I'll read like 10, 20 marketing books back to back. And I'll watch podcasts and this and that. Until like, okay, now I got a little bit of idea of marketing. Now I'm going to learn something slightly similar to marketing.
Exactly.
And then you can start to teach it. You can start to add. And you start to realize, hey, this is really helping. It could just be Facebook ads. It could be building, like you haven't got a TikTok, you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Building a TikTok. Because like it's so many idiots out there with TikToks killing it. And you got someone like you who don't have a TikTok, who should.
Well, and it's honestly, it's stop, not being an old dog. Like when you're older, you kind of just like, because I've been blessed. Most of my clientele is referrals, word of mouth.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't believe I'm a salesman. If you send someone to me or we work together, you speak highly of me. By the time the client gets to me, the new person, they're sold already.
Yeah,
They basically just want to sign up.
Yeah.
And maybe they just kind of want to see the place or meet you.
Or make sure you're not a big fat ass. Or,
exactly.
Yeah.
Or for me, with most of my clientele being women, it's getting them in there on the one-on-one training side to see that, okay, yes, I look this way, but, I'm chill. I'm not this in your face yelling at you, blah, blah. And understanding I can train a lot of different people just because you see, like I'll post a video today of one of my clients. She's a competitor and she lifts heavy as shit. But I'm not going to push every woman like that. I'm pushing them based on their ability level.
Gotcha.
And then that's not to say you may not get there either. Whereas most of my clients that come in, it's like, I just want to get my body back. I'm in my late 30s, 40s, had kids. They can afford it. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, so how do I get those lines in my legs a couple months down the road? And how do I get my stomach flatter? And, you're one client with those shoulders. How did she get her shoulders like that? And you're like, here we go.
Yeah.
Right? So then that
little progression.
Whereas at first you don't want to, they're intimidated because like, well, am I going to get big? I'm going to get bulky. It's like, if you see a woman with muscles, it's not a mistake.
I like that. I never heard
or
of
anybody.
That before.
Like people think that, yeah, there are genetic freaks. But in general, even if someone's on gear, that's not a fucking mistake. Like they still had to work their ass off. And so people think like you're just gonna show up and get results. Like if it was that way, then I'd be bigger than this room.
What do you think? Where do you think that perception came from? Like, if you go to the gym, you're gonna get muscle. If you lift weights, like
I think it's just lack of knowledge.
But I mean, it's been around ever since I was a kid.
Knowledge. Oh, you'll hear women say, "I put on muscle fast." So then why do you got so much fat? But then how do you put on muscle so much faster than the male when we have 10 to 20 times more testosterone than you do? How's that possible? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Like, how does it?
Yeah.
Or they do legs and their legs are tight. My legs are growing. Like, you don't grow that fast. If that's the case, every male who ever lifted anything consistently for a year wouldn't be able to fit. They'd be so strong. Like, progress isn't linear at all.
Yeah.
There's going to be stumbling blocks.
And you're going up or down. You never just. You don't plateau, right? You don't.
It's very rare somebody will continually linearly, unless they were kind of grew up around it, or they just have this different mindset and they're willing to continuously do things. Most people tend to get in their way. There's so much crap out there. But back to your point, like women think, oh, I'm gonna get big fast. You got better luck of seeing Tupac at a bus stop. Like you're probably not gonna get as big as you think. Or in the woman who does have those nice legs and shoulders, give her some credit. She worked her ass off for it.
Yeah.
And like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and when people say like, I don't want to look like you, trust me, you probably won't.
No, you basically guarantee you won't.
Or, me and my business partner laugh about this. People will go, if I put in work like 6 months, I can look like you. I'm thinking like, hell no, I hope not. And if you do, then shit, I clearly did something wrong. People have this perception, or they're not willing to accept the fact that some people really work fucking hard.
Everybody, like business, anything worthwhile takes time.
It takes time, and you work.
Takes serious time.
And people have this false sense. Oh well, I'll go at it hard. What? You haven't fucking moved in 30 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're gonna change all these habits.
And it takes consistent time, because if you're pushing at the gym and then you stop.
Yeah.
You start going backwards. Yeah. You push at your business and you stop marketing. You start going backwards.
Well, and they forget it's more than just training. The first point is nutrition. Your sleep, your recovery, it's everything. It's your mindset. It's your mental. Like, what are you thinking? And people think that that's going to be straight. But you have all these other variables too. Family, work, media, social media, the news. All those things affect people, whether they know it or not.
Yeah.
Anything is just going to be a straight road. Like, nah. It's like any success. Success isn't straight. It's not linear. It's moving. It's up. Oh shit, I'm on a downhill slope. Then you go back up.
You pivot, right?
Yeah, and people think that, I'm going to do everything right. Okay, sure.
Constantly pivoting. Hormesis, do you know much about it? Like as far as like cold therapy, fasting, autophagy?
No, actually, no.
Never dived into, never done cold therapy, like ice baths?
I mean, we did it in college, obviously, doing like double days.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So that's about the extent that I know about it. I haven't done it in a long time anymore. So
You're at a point where you're functioning well, you're recovering well. You've just got you dialed in, right?
Yeah.
How old do you feel? Do you feel in your 20s? You think? Yeah.
Late 20s.
It's pretty nuts, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I wake up with aches and pains, but once I get moving, then I'm good, But I feel,
What are your injuries?
I've had shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
So I had shoulder surgery in 2019.
Like football, rotator cuff, or
rotator cuff, cartilage, just wear and tear.
Yeah.
Just years of lifting, playing football, being rough and tumble.
Okay.
So I had surgery in 2019, and I actually just had a amniotic shot in my shoulder. 5 weeks ago now.
What is that? Is that
so it's basically like stem cells in a sense.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where'd you get that done?
It was a doctor here in town.
You got it done locally?
Yeah, so got it done locally.
Gotcha.
Who deals with a lot of athletes instead of going back under the knife.
It's expensive, like locally, opposed to, I know a lot of people go south.
It was like $1,500.
Okay, so not. I know a lot of people go down to like Puerto Rico or something, don't they?
Yeah.
You get it done a lot cheaper.
Yeah, this doctor I went to, he deals with a lot of athletes, UFC guys.
Okay.
And one of my business partner client, who's a doctor, who's retired, he's had it done on his knees and back, and said he got amazing results. I was like willing to give it a try instead of going back under the knife.
Yeah. So when are you supposed to see results? Have you seen your results?
It's getting better. I actually just started lifting the left side again this week and going about 40 to 50% of the normal weight that I do. And I still feel it a little bit, but they say as it progresses, like once you get to about like month 2 or 3, then you should be good.
Really?
Yeah. So if it saves me from going under the knife, then for me it's worth it.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Because I'm not going to stop training and being active,
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
No matter what's stopping you.
Well, and even the doctor, when I went back to my orthopedic, he goes, you can stop moving. I was like, bro, that's not happening. You know that. He goes, yeah, I know.
You'd rather be dead than stop moving, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do what I do and push it as far as I can.
Yes.
And that's the goal.
To just finish up with longevity, people living their fullest life, people living their healthiest life, what do you kind of tell people?
First of all, I ask people, what do they want their quality of life to be?
I like that.
Because that's different from person to person. Like,
what type of answers do you hear to that?
Well, honestly, it varies from person to person. Well, obviously, with a lot of my clientele, they want to live as long as possible and be healthy, but then you realize that some people are fine drinking and eating, and when their time's up,
Is
up. So I think it depends on, it's from person to person. I want the best quality of life as possible. I want to be able to be active and move, and if I'm still in my right mind, I want to live as long as possible.
Yeah, be 80, you'd be able to ride a skateboard type thing, right?
And as long as I'm not being a burden on anybody, I'm in my right mind, I'm happy with living forever.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So how the people do want to be like that, what do? In your opinion?
Nutrition, they start to change their habits, so they start to do their best to eat better.
What is eating better? What is healthy eating in your opinion?
Healthy eating is, like we spoke about before, there's so many different ways to do it, but be conscious of what you're doing. Most people, like we said before, are so unaware of what they're doing. They have zero idea of what's going on. Like, oh shit, well maybe I shouldn't be drinking 2 Starbucks a day. Or maybe I shouldn't have this bag of chips around because, I'm not saying you can't have chips, but you polish the whole bag. Maybe I shouldn't get so stressed out that I can't think about anything but pulling into a fast food place and over and doing it. And then feeling bad about it because now you have a poor relationship with food, and then you have this whole mental down cycle. So it's just developing habits that are consistent for them, whatever that may look like.
Gotcha.
I don't expect people to be on like me. I love this shit. It's my passion.
Yeah, no, you don't. It's not. It's such a small percentage who are like you.
Exactly.
And people got to realize that you're not trying to be you.
Yeah.
Just trying to be like living
the best that they can be.
The best, yeah, for where they want to be.
And learning to not compare your stuff, like we said many times before. Don't compare yourself to what someone else is doing, because at the end of the day, you may not really want to do what they're doing.
Are you becoming the better version of yourself?
Exactly. And that's the best that you can hope for a lot of people.
Are you eating better than you were yesterday or 3 months ago?
Or just moving.
Yeah. And
so today you moved, which is more than you moved yesterday.
Yeah.
And the day before, so you're going in the right direction.
And I like how you say move. You're not like go to the gym and lift heavy weights. You're talking about moving.
It's not everybody's cup of tea.
Doing what I want to hear you say this. Do what
do what you like doing. What you're going to consistently do.
If that's tennis or that's walking or
Tennis,
hiking
walking,
or lifting
yoga,
weights,
Pilates, just fucking move.
just move.
Yeah, you know, like I love weights. I do believe that there's clearly tons of benefits. Bone density, muscle mass. These are things that are going to help with longevity, but at the end of the day, it's not everyone's cup of tea.
No, it's not.
You know,
So
I think running distance is fucking pointless. But if that gets people to move and they're willing to deal with the wear and tear they puts on their body, knock yourself out. Who am I to tell you no?
So I don't like running in general.
I will sprint, but I'm not running. I'm all about efficiency.
Yeah.
If I can get the same amount of work done from running like 200-yard sprints compared to running 3 miles, why the fuck run 3 miles?
You've developed. You're working smarter and not harder.
Yeah.
And that comes over time, right?
Huh.
I can do next to nothing and get amazing results because I've spent 20 to 30 years of developing those skills.
Well, and like my prep over 2020, I did no cardio, but my nutrition was on point.
You don't need to do cardio.
No.
And you
should do it for your heart and your lungs, but in terms of body fat, it's a terrible predictor of losing weight.
Yeah.
Most people don't burn as many calories as they think.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever leaned out, I got down to like 6% body fat with no cardio, no abs, and I was shredded. People were like, oh, how much cardio, how much abs? Zero. I'm like, what do you mean? Just lift heavy weights and eat well.
Everybody has abs. You ever seen a cadaver?
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
Everybody has them. How's your torso upright? You know.
Yeah.
But people think they have to do all these crazy things. Like, no, you get lean enough, they'll pop.
And you can make your abs look better.
Of course.
I've done martial arts my whole life, kicking, twisting, punching, elbowing.
Yes.
It gives you better abs.
Yeah. But at the
training
same time,
in the gym,
if you're not in a caloric deficit, you don't drop enough body fat, you'll never see them.
You're never going to see them.
Yeah, you got a hidden treasure. Everybody has them. It's like, well, I've never seen them. You never got lean enough.
You've never wanted them bad enough.
Yeah, you haven't been willing to do what it takes to get to that point. And that's fine. Just accept that and be real with yourself.
Gotcha. So you're saying eat well, understanding what you're eating because it may be different to what you actually think it is. Exercise doing what you love to do.
Exactly. And
just being active. And then just probably the last thing is probably just raising your standards, setting goals, having a reason why is it important in mid-40s for me to be healthier. Yeah. Why is it important I'm getting these injuries to avoid these injuries? To like the top 3 killers, heart disease, diabetes, cancer.
Yeah.
Why do I want to avoid these in my 40s opposed to getting 60 having a heart attack and the damage is done?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let's just be honest. I mean, it's never too late to start, but the earlier you can develop these habits, because if you're on 40's side, you're on the downhill side.
Yeah, you are.
You know what I'm saying?
As much as it sucks.
Yeah, as much as it sucks, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
So the earlier you can develop these habits, then you can have some part of that the rest of your life. So will I always lift 5 or 6 days a week? I don't know. But maybe when I'm 60, maybe it's 4 days a week, but I understand what that takes, or maybe even 3, because then I'm in a different stage of my life. But I've already built the habits to know what that feels like instead of, it gets tough if you're trying to, 60, you haven't moved since high school.
And then you're also tweaking, hey, I'm only lifting 3 days a week, but I'm tweaking my diet where 3 days is fine.
Fits, yes.
It's like this give and take thing, right?
Mm-hmm. It's understanding what that takes. But the biggest thing is getting people to understand it's about consistency and building sustainable habits, not this quick fix shit.
I love it. Dude, thanks so much for your time, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
that a lot, dude.
Thank you.